Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Zepol here, and today we're taking a look at the NECA Godzilla 1964. I think I got that right. It's Godzilla versus Mothra. Godzilla against Mothra. Or Godzilla against the Thing. See, I know stuff. But anyways, this is NECA's latest Godzilla release, I think. I'm gonna say it is. It might not be. I'm gonna say it is. It's still been a while since it was released, so you probably already have one. This thing is customized. I should probably say that right off the bat. It's got a bit of a jaw fix, which I will explain in a little bit. I painted it some. I painted it here. A bit all over, just slight gray brushing. Added some paint to the knees, painted the brow a little bit and the face, and I repainted the spines. So now, is this figure worth getting? Oops, yeah, that's probably not helping my point. Let me reattach this off camera real quick. And I think it's back on. I'm gonna say it is. It's never done that, I swear. Is it worth getting? I'd say yeah. It's not a design I'm particularly fond of. I still haven't seen the film, despite it being on HBO Max. But the figure itself is great. After doing the fix, I'd say. Before, it still looks alright. It just kind of looks a little bit off. But I guess I can talk about the fix right now. So normally, the bottom jaw kind of sticks out a little bit, so the mouth doesn't properly close. So what I had to do was heat up the head and pry this thing out. The mouthpiece, it's kind of like in a peg. And then I shaved it down. I shaved down the peg and I reattached it with glue so that it fits in a little bit better into the mouth and it can close properly now. So not only does the mouth close properly, when you angle his head down, which is kind of how 64 is most of the time, it kind of makes the upper lip, I think that's what that is, look like it's covering the jaw a bit more. So I think that looks a bit more screen accurate. I think it looks a little better. You know, you don't have to do that. It's just something I chose to do because it's still a great figure regardless. Some people say it's the best NECA figure. I disagree. I prefer 62. But to each their own, I guess. Now, well, I've already said it looks great, but I mean, the sculpting is amazing. The sculpting on this figure is different, I would say. It feels a lot more rough. It kind of has the texture of a Monster Arts. So if you've ever held a Monster Art, it kind of hurts a little to hold. I guess depending on the figure as well. But generally, they kind of hurt a little because of how, I guess, defined the texturing is. And this figure has that. The 62 kind of has that as well, but I think you feel it a lot more in this, in the 64. And I really like that. I like the feel, but I also like that this is a hefty figure. I don't feel like when I'm messing around with this thing that it might fall apart or anything might pop out. So articulation, I guess, is probably what we should go over next. He's got a, I'm gonna say ball joint at the head, here. So he can turn that way, and turn this way. I'm kind of turning the neck, and trying not to. He can look down about that much, with the neck still looking up. And look up a decent bit. Yeah, it's going off camera, so yeah, he can look up a decent bit. Neck is also on a ball joint, so with that he can look down a lot. He can look side to side very well. Let me bring his head up so you can see that a little bit better. So yeah, he can turn quite a bit. to both sides. There we go. Kind of looks like his neck is broken. Let's see. Let's go for the hands next. Hands, they can do a full 360. Yes, they can. Come on. You can. It goes out about that far. Ooh, my god. In that far. The bend at the elbow doesn't seem to be that great. That seems to be about it. Then this is... What? This might have messed up elbows. Here. That's the elbow straightened out. I don't know what's going on with this one. Here, give me a second. Okay, there we go. That's the elbow on this hand down as well. So yeah, not too much elbow bend. I'd say it's a little bit underwhelming. I think it's a little better on the right hand than on the left though. And speaking of hands, they have a hinge here where it connects to the arm. So they can go down, they can go up. Full 360 at the hand. I'm not getting this on camera at all. The hands are kind of softer. They're made of a softer material. And the fingers have a hinge, so you can kind of grasp. That's all the way out. And then, again, that's all the way in. Ball joint, he has a ball joint at the, what is this, torso? Mine's kind of stiff. He could probably do, I think he could probably do a full 360. Here, let's try. Come on. Don't make me look bad on camera. A little bit more. Oh, not even sure if we got that on camera. But, yeah, he can do a full 360. Goes back that much. It isn't a huge amount. Let me bring his arm down. Not a huge amount, but this here, this next thing, will be impressive. It can go down quite a bit. I mean, sure, it kind of looks like he's a bit broken, but he can go down by a decent bit. I think that's better than the 62. Or at least my version, anyways. Let me bring that back up. Legs. The legs are very stiff. They can do a full 360. I think. Almost. I think the sculpting gets in the way. Let's bring that back. This Godzilla has very long legs, so the knee bend kind of looks a lot better on this guy. Oh my goodness, that is tight. That's the knee bent, and the ankles are very good as well. They're on a ball joint, but you can get a lot of range. Let me straighten out his leg. You guys heard it there. And then the tail. Let's see. Tail has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 segments. I think it's 6. So you can get. Oh, let me pop this back on for it real quick. I don't know if it's not popping in right or what. I've had this issue with this figure since I got it. Might have to use a hair dryer after this review to try and get that to stay on. So for a tail articulation, it's alright. I wouldn't really say it's the best that NECA has to offer. I think 62 is better. That's about as much as I can bring it forward. But it's good enough. I don't think you'll need much more than that. So there we go. That's articulation. Paint-wise, I should have talked about this earlier when I brought up the fact that this is a custom paint job. The paint on the normal figure is pretty good. Um, I mean, if you remember the 62, it's pretty close to that. I'd say the spines were probably done a bit better on this guy before I went and repainted them. And the dry brushing on the rest is pretty good as well. It's pretty, I want to say average, but good. It's like NECA's average of painting has gone up. It's a lot better than what it used to be. That's my opinion anyways. But it's pretty good. So I think next it's time for size comparisons. So first we gotta compare this guy with a Mothra, and sadly this is the only Mothra I have that resembles the one from the film. The only other one I have is the Monster Arts 2019, which is back there, and I really didn't want to move everyone just to get her out. But yeah, this doesn't really scale well. I heard that the Revoltech Mothra might scale well with this guy. I know the Revoltechs are kind of small in comparison to the NECAs and the Monster Arts, but if you can get your hand on that, then it's worth a shot for a reasonable price. They've really skyrocketed up. Anyways, let's get that out of his mouth. And let's move on to some other size comparisons. Here we have Showa Geigen. Okay, no, seriously. Oops. Oh, no, above the mic. Here we have Showa Rodan. Sorry, guys. Alright, that's the last one, I swear. Here we have the RX-78-2. This is a high-grade model kit. I just had him on my desk, so I thought, why not? Yeah, he's definitely a lot taller than a high-grade model kit. And next up, we have probably my personal favorite NECA Godzilla figure, the NECA 1956 poster version. I think the 64 is the tallest in the line. I think GMK might be a little taller if you modify him a bit. But in terms of no modifications, 64 takes the cake. Now I'm gonna bring in Godzilla 1962. And my figure, he's hunched over just because I really like this pose for him, and I really didn't want to get him out of it. But they're pretty close in height. 64 is still a little bit taller though. And that is all for this review. So, final thoughts. Should you get this figure? If you're a fan of Godzilla against Mothra, Godzilla versus the Thing, I'd say go for it. The only other representation of this Godzilla suit is probably the Monster Arts. Well, the only other articulated one is probably the Monster Arts, and that thing is super expensive nowadays. You know, MSRP, it was still a lot, I think $40 more expensive than this guy, and he's like half the size. He does scale well with the Revoltex and the Monster Arts one, but you get more bang for your buck with this. And speaking of bang for your buck, I completely forgot to mention, this guy does come with a beam effect. This one is painted. I went in and kind of added a blue tinge to it. There's some blue dry brushing. I don't think I've ever tried putting the beam in his mouth, so I'm not sure if it'll still work. Yeah, it kind of works. This is one of the awkward beams, I'd say, because if you look at it, it's kind of going to the side and not forward, but you can't really put it in now any other way. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's nice that you get a beam, though. You don't need a stand for it as well. And I think the joints on this guy are pretty solid, so you won't get him drooping down. I still wouldn't recommend displaying him with the beam at all times, just in case. But this beam is a lot smaller than the other ones, and it's a lot lighter. So, you might not run into the same problems. Alright, now closing thoughts. Pretty much you go get him. He's a pretty good figure. I like him. I'm not a big fan of the suit, like I said before, but he's a fun figure. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I recommend him full-heartedly, especially if you love the film, especially if you want, you know, a 1964 Godzilla. This is probably the best option in the market. But thanks for stopping by, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to see more Godzilla reviews. Next week, we have 2 new releases from NECA. We have the 89 and the 2003. So, Godzilla vs. Biollante and Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Yes, Tokyo SOS. So those are going to be exciting. And hopefully I can do some customizing on those. But yeah, peace.